All right, so maybe you can relate to this, but you're about to see a story of one of the agents I'm coaching right now. But just imagine for a second, you're a brand new agent, you're on a team. That team leader tells you, no, you can't work with sellers. You need to be working with buyers only. And as a result, you start working their buyer leads only to find out that, wow, I'm working all night, every single weekend, chasing flaky buyers, only to get to the point where I actually sell one and have to give the majority of my income back to the team leader. It's not that teams are bad, but then you go off on your own just to find yourself in a situation that I think a lot of you are in, where it's like, I have no support. No one can teach me what to do. I am on my own. And when I ask my broker, hey, can you come on a listing appointment with me? You find out, wow, my broker doesn't even know how to do a listing appointment. You're going to hear all about this story and how this agent went from that to earning $40,000 a month as a listing agent, controlling his time, controlling his income. Why? So you can simply copy him. In this interview, he's going to share exactly what he's done in the last couple of years to go from new agent, chasing buyers, etc., to living what I believe is a really good lifestyle as a listing agent. And so listen, if you're watching this video right now and at any point in time, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm showing up, I'm doing the work, I am putting forth immense effort, but I'm not making 10, 20, 30, $40,000 per month. I would love the opportunity to be your coach. By opportunity, I mean have a conversation. If you're open to that, I will put a link in the description.
I was on a team that was taking 50% of whatever I made, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting any coaching. Nobody was teaching me any skills. I was just kind of winging it, but the leads were good, and everybody wanted to buy a house, and the interest rates were really low. So you had to be a really bad realtor to not sell, you know?
Yeah.
It was just like, but the good thing about that was I learned how to do the deal. I learned how to fill out the forms. I learned how to write an RPA. I got listings even though I didn't know anything about getting. People walk into my office and want to list their house, and I go over there and say, okay, it's worth this. Let's put it on the market. And I had no idea how to do a listing presentation. Nobody was teaching me. Um, but what I got to do in that first year was I got to see the potential of what you can make, and it dwarfed what I could make in music.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I got to stick with realty because I'm getting older. I need to start figuring out my retirement. I have nothing put away. This is where I need to be. So I stuck with realty. I I didn't like giving away, I made like 400,000 in commissions my first year, and I had to give away 200,000 of that. And that kind of sucked. I mean, it was kind of a kick in the gut, because
Yeah.
my team leader was going on vacations while I was working,
Yeah.
and and she took half the money. She made as much as I did, but so I stuck with realty, but I left the team, right? And then realty started slowing down, and I had to figure out how to get my own leads. I tried Zillow, but I think I spent like 20 grand on Zillow leads for a year and got nothing out of it. Really, I think maybe I made half of my money back. I lost money. So that wasn't working. I found a a group of people that were, because I as a musician, I had a lot of experience with telemarketing because that's the musician's job. I couldn't go and get I couldn't go get a corporate job because if I left on tour for 6 weeks and came back, that job wouldn't be waiting for me.
Mm.
So telemarketing, selling office supplies or whatever it was a good musician's job because I could have pink hair or spiky hair or
Yeah.
dress however. And I'm just a voice on the phone and I could sell stuff. And that job would always be waiting for me if I wanted to go on tour.
Mm.
Um, I got really good at being on the phone and numb to, people that were upset with me and everything. So because I was in realty and I needed to start generating my own leads, I found a group of guys that were just calling and actually selling realty on the phone. And so it's started like seeing what they were doing. They allowed me in their group and I started seeing what they were doing and dialing with them. And it made the time pass well to be on the phone with them on a Zoom call while I was calling. But at the same time, I didn't even know what I was going to do when I got that listing.
Right.
I didn't have any skills. And I was looking for mentors. I switched brokerages and I was hoping that the manager would teach me how to do a listing presentation. I took her on some of the the listing presentations that I set up, and I realized that she didn't even have any skills any better than me,
Yeah.
and there was nobody to teach me. So I started Googling listing presentation. What is a listing presentation? Because at the end of my time with Remax, my TC was telling me, Paul, I'm surprised you don't even have a listing presentation. And I go, I said, what's a listing presentation? She goes, oh, Paul. She goes, I'm sure must have something. I'll download something for you. But nobody really explained it. It's not something you can really explain in a nutshell anyway.
Right.
And then I found your listing agent blueprint thing. And I
Mm.
thought, okay, I'm just going to get this. It's going to hopefully teach me how to actually do a listing presentation. And I got it. And I was really intrigued by it. And it really helped me to get through that. And so that's when I decided to sign up for the full program and just dive in. Because I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have anybody teaching me how
Yeah.
realty is actually done. I was just winging it. And I didn't want to wing it anymore. I wanted to actually know how it's done.
It's a great
But this,
story. Yeah. I mean, it's a great story because when you fast forward, really you got started in this full time in 2020 during the pandemic. It forced you into the business. You were on a team, you were getting fed leads. Again, you tell the story so nicely. Now you fast forward, we're shooting this in September 2025, and already you've been able to generate $450,000 in income on your own. No team, no leads. You're out there basically with the skills that you've learned, that you've acquired in the short amount of time that we've been working together. I mean, how long have I been coaching you? For about a year?
it's only been about 10 months.
10
Yeah,
months,
about
10
10
months.
months. Yeah.
And so I want to talk the audience through how you've been able to make such a transformation because, most people have so many fears and limiting beliefs and I'm too young, I'm too old, this, that, and the other thing. You have been able to block out the noise and not have any ego whatsoever and surrender to the fact that says, okay, I need to learn this in order to go out there and make a living for myself. And you've done just that. So let's talk about what it is that you're doing right now where you're finding success. And so when we first started to work together, because what I ask people to do and what I coach people to do, it's not easy, but if you do it, it's very, very effective. And so what are you doing right now to generate listing leads and listing opportunities for yourself?
Okay, well, it's just prospecting. Just getting on the phone and trying to stay consistent. But I'm not exactly consistent. I try to at least stay 3 hours a day on the phone. But really, where it really kind of loads me up with a lot of work is during I'm a little bit competitive, and back in my telemarketing days before. They would have, the manager would come out with like, who the top salesman of this week gets a ghetto blaster,
Yeah,
or they'll ring a bell, and they'll tally. And so you're in a room of people that are also musicians or actors, and you're joking around with them and stuff, and you're competing with them,
sure.
right? And it's fun, it's like and it's fun when you're the one that gets to walk home with that TV or that ghetto blaster or whatever prize they're offering that week.
Yeah.
Your competition brought that back for me. And it's like, okay, this will be great. So I go in and I get obsessed. I want to be the winner. So
And you're
I
talking about
go
the
in.
prospecting games, of course. And this is where it kind of all started. Yeah, exactly. Keep going.
Yeah, so I would tell everybody around me, look, don't bother me this week. I'm going to be on the phone. Don't bother me. I'm going to be on the phone. And I would block it out and I'd get obsessed with it. And I'd get up and I'd get on the phone, at 7 o'clock or, it's at 7:30. And I'd stay on until 7:30 at night. I would just go and go and go and go and go. And, uh, and I learned something from you on how to actually land the deal. Because I would, before I joined this program, I would flounder around with people my follow-up was horrible. I'd find people that I'd started a relationship with would list with somebody else because I didn't follow up on time. And then just getting that listing presentation. I'd have conversation after conversation after conversation and never set up the appointment. I didn't even know
Mm.
how. It's like, how do you get that appointment? And the trick that you showed, in how to get them to invite you over really worked for me.
So let's
So
let's 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 break that down for people so they can kind of they can kind of imagine this for themselves. If we walk them through this, Paul, step by step. All right. So let's just start kind of at the beginning. When you're saying you're on the phone 3 hours a day, the first question everyone has is, well, who is it that you're calling? And why are you calling them directly versus, to your point earlier, why are you not buying leads or doing social media ads? Is it that you're picking up the phone and calling people and it's actually generating opportunities for yourself?
yeah, yeah, and it's out of every 100 calls, you're probably not gonna 99 of them are you're not gonna get anybody. But that 100th call, somebody's gonna say, yeah, yeah, I am thinking about selling my house.
So who are
That's
you? What sources of business are you calling for 3 hours a day? Who are you calling?
Well, mostly circle dials, and
Okay.
I just started probates, but I do have expired leads. I try to get to them first thing in the morning, but I am not liking them because in this market in LA, they've been called by 30 people before I can get to them. Even if I start at 7:30
Yeah.
or 7:30, they've already been called by 5 or 6 people, and they're annoyed,
Yeah.
and I'm just getting tired of it. I almost gave up my expired canceled my expired leads last month, but for the prospecting games, I thought I'll just keep it one more time, and then I ended up with three expired, you know,
Deals.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought, okay, well, then I'll keep it for a while. But then since then, in my 3 hours a day that I've been doing expires, I've been calling them in the mornings, and no, it's just been horrible. I don't like the expireds that much.
So you've decided, and we've been talking a lot about this in our coaching world, which is to move away from the expireds and for sell by owners and bottom of funnel and go to lead sources that have less competition. So give us an idea in 3 hours time. How many people are you typically talking to on a daily basis?
Um, I think in a 3 hour span, I typically make 30 contacts.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then, one of the limiting beliefs that most people have is, and you've even said this to me, oh, I'm not good with technology, so I don't know how to do all of that. Talk to us. How are you getting on the phone? What platforms are you using? Is it really difficult? Is it really hard to do, or is it pretty simple?
No, it's pretty simple. And what I love when I found I started with Red X, but I didn't really like the Red X leads. And then somebody said I should try Mojo, so I tried Mojo. Mojo worked a lot better for me. They've got a little CRM in there where I can set little tasks and stuff. So, and I can set up, there's a calendar, I can set up a date to call them back, all that kind of stuff. So that works. It's pretty simple. And the leads are pretty good. And then I got from my plus leads, that's where I get my expires, and they automatically load into Mojo, so I can call those every morning.
And
And I just
just to be clear for the audience, when you say leads, I don't want people to think like you're buying leads like Zillow leads. You subscribe to Mojo, who gives you data, homeowner data of people that you want to get listings. You want to serve a certain area. And so when you say leads, you're talking about data of homeowners that you're able to pick up the phone and call those people directly. Because like what is the cost all in with your Mojo every month?
about 150, you
So
know.
$150 a month. I don't want people to get this twisted. You're not paying $500 per lead like Zillow. It's 150
No,
bucks a month and you get as much as you want.
yeah, for thousands of leads.
Yeah.
So I can put in an address of, like, if I have a listing that just went up, I can put in the address of that listing, and I can circle or draw a shape around that whole neighborhood and call that whole neighborhood and say, hey, I got a listing that just came up, just or talk about an open house or whatever,
Yeah.
or just circle dial script, where I just say, hey, I just before you hang up, I was hoping to ask you a question really quick.
Sure.
And if they give me permission, then I just go, you know what, I appreciate it. You're gonna think this is crazy, but it's just that there's not much available, and there's buyers looking to move into the neighborhood. You don't happen to know anybody at all that might even be thinking about selling, do you? Yeah. And and see where it goes from there. But yeah, it's just data. You can circle neighbors, you can call any, I could even call on, I'm in California. I could even call New York. I could
Yeah.
put an address in New York and dial for some. If I get up at 5 in the morning and I can't sleep, I'll dial for. As a matter of fact, I've done that twice. I've had two listings that have sold in New York,
Mm,
but with a realtor that I know out there. I would get up and I couldn't sleep, so I'd dial at 5 in the morning and in New York, and
yeah.
I got a couple listings that he closed out
So
there.
that's great. So you're getting Mojo, you're getting all your data from Mojo. And then the conversation, you alluded to essentially what you're saying a little bit. Um, what are the metrics? What's the conversion typically look like? I mean, if you're having 30 conversations a day, call it 150 a week, how many leads does that typically yield you at the end of a week on average?
Um, I mean, I would say I probably get like, if I was to do it 3 hours a day, probably one or two leads a day,
It's
I would
great.
say that are actually leads. During the prospecting games, that it's more than that because I spend more time on the phone.
Got
But
it.
yeah, I would say, I mean, you should be able to at least get, a lead or two a day
Yeah,
if you
makes
do
total
3 hours a
sense.
day.
And then talk to us. Let's transition to lead follow up and how important that is, because most of your listing appointments come because you're following up with people after you've generated that lead that leads you to being invited over to their home. Would you agree with that? It's not like it's probably pretty rare outside of expireds where you call somebody randomly, they say, I want to move, and they say, oh, come on over this afternoon. Would that be fair?
Yeah, it's yeah, hardly ever. Yeah,
Okay.
hardly
So
ever.
so walk us through how important it is lead follow up and what you're doing with lead follow up that's helping you actually win the listing appointment.
So when I'm doing my follow-up, so I get the lead, and I know your criteria for a lead is like they have to give you why they need to move, where they want to move, when. So you got the, where, why, and when.
Yep.
And they have to give you an email, and that say, "Hey, would it be helpful if I emailed
Yeah.
you over my resume, or would you just delete it, and have, oh yeah, yeah, send it over, and then you have a lead, right? But you also know when they want to sell, and you cut that time in half. I've learned this the hard way. You have to don't wait until they say they're going to sell in 6 months. You have to call them before that, like 3 months or two
Yeah.
months even, and then, or find an excuse to call them too. Hey, just something happened in the neighborhood, just to touch base. That way you're building a resume. So by the time they're ready to list, they know who you are. You've built a relationship,
That's
you
right.
know? And then sometimes they're calling me and say, "Hey, we're ready to list."
So here's what's
They,
happening. Let me paint this perfect picture for people. So it all starts with you saying, okay, I want to get listings in this area, this type of property, this type of price point. This is how I want to build my business. And so instead of going out there and, posting cringy content on the internet or trying to buy leads from this company or that company, you just go directly to the homeowners and have a conversation. That's where it all starts. That conversation, once or twice per day, you are finding people who tell you that they want to move, they have motivation to move, they tell you why they want to move, when they want to move, where they want to move. And oh, by the way, they also tell you over the telephone, we do not have a real estate agent. So when the time comes, Paul, we would be happy to interview you to help us get the property sold. You do that once or twice per day. Those people go into your lead follow up system. And to your point, between the time you generated the lead and the day when they actually want to sell their house, you have already won. You've already become their agent in their mind because you've won the top of mind awareness game. Is that fair?
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Perfect. So now, if I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Talk to us about the listing appointment. Because at the beginning of our conversation, this is the biggest thing I think that you really needed help with. Because as a new agent, like so many new agents do, you just don't have a clue what you're doing at the presentation. And so when you go and meet with somebody, it's like, oh, what do I do now? So in the work that you and I have done together over the last 10 months, what have you found most helpful that you could share with the audience when it comes to the listing appointment?
Okay, so the biggest thing in doing the listing presentation is coming off as a knowledgeable agent. You just gotta like, that it's I've had so many people that I was trying to say, how do you do a listing presentation? They do the stupid thing like, oh, we're gonna have you in this magazine, we're gonna have you display it on our wall, we're gonna have you in a, we're gonna have you we're gonna have a sign out in front, all that stupid stuff. Nobody was telling me how to do a listing presentation, right? But with your program, um, you, I didn't even, on my CRMLS, I didn't even know where to find data. Okay. You showed me
Yeah.
how to go to InfoSparks, where to, because I was like, where are you getting all this stuff, Brandon? All this
Yeah.
stuff you're showing me, where is it? And
Yeah.
you'd show me, oh, just go here. It's
Yeah.
right there. You have it right in my CRMLS. So I'd go in there, and with your listing presentations, the way it's data out, you're writing down all the market snapshot, all these different statistics, right? How many days on market in your market right here in your area? It's takes an average of 28 days to sell a home. Um, blah blah blah. All these statistics, and then you're showing them. I know when I go over the price bracketing thing, their eyes widen up. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I never thought of that. It's
Yeah.
a simple thing. And no,
And no agents are doing it. No agents are doing it. And so therefore none of the consumers have ever seen it before.
yeah. So I mean, when you're talking about that, and you're not talking about putting signs, you're not talking about marketing, you're not
That's
talking
right.
about, oh, we're gonna have you on Zillow, all the stuff that everybody else does. I'm sitting there talking about statistics and price bracketing, price positioning, price comparison, all these things that are in that listing presentation. Halfway through it, but I'm not even finished, and I know that I got them half the time. I had twice where I was in front of a man and a wife, and the wife halfway through my presentation would just go, "Let's just go with this guy." And there was two other agents that they were supposed to interview after me, and they canceled them and just went with me. And it
It's
was
great.
just because I sounded like a knowledgeable agent, that I knew what I was doing. They got that feeling. They felt comfortable with me. It locked them in solid to where they felt comfortable with me because I knew I came in there as somebody that knew this market.
It's
And
great.
I never
You've
knew that before. I never.
Yeah, so now you've learned how to present yourself and how to present in a manner that positions you as the obvious choice because of people view you as an expert authority. And so rather than go in there and do what so many agents are taught to do, Paul, which is to vomit all over the seller, like we're going to do these types of pictures and we're going to do drone photos and we're going to do, you just sound like every other agent. And so what you've learned to do is actually how to deliver value in the way that the consumer has never seen or heard before ever, which then makes you the obvious choice. Is that fair to say?
That's fair. And actually almost every listing presentation I do, and I don't even have this thing down completely yet. I've
Right,
just got a
right.
portion of it. I'm still working on it. I've still got a long way to go. I've got a lot to learn. There's so many things in this program that I want to kind of get down. But just every time that I talk to, just with the little bit I know so far, every person I talk to says, no agent has ever talked to me like that. No agent has ever shown me what you just showed me.
Mm,
And I don't even know that much. I've
yeah.
got a portion of this down, and it works.
Yeah, it's great. So if you could go back and get your license and the pandemic happened, well, let's not have that happen again. But let's go back to 2020, knowing what you know now with the skills that you have now. What would you have done differently? Would you have gone on the team? Would you have gone solo? Like, what would you have done differently if you can go back 5 years?
Uh, I wouldn't have joined a team. Uh, I thought, I think teams take unless you're with the right team. I don't know. My experience with the team was bad. I kind of felt like um I think they're designed to kind of lock you in and make you feel like you depend on them and stuff. But my team was kind of a new team. I realized pretty quick that I wasn't meant for a team.
Hmm.
I mean, I think a team environment could be good if you got a team
Yeah.
that's supportive of each other and helps you, and you're getting something from your team leader, like if they're mentoring you or teaching you. But I wasn't getting that. I was just getting leads. That's all I was
Hmm.
getting. And I found out, through this program, I found out that if I had this knowledge now, I would never pay for Zillow. I would never pay for it. I mean, I could, I could easily, Zillow may give me three, they'll charge me an arm and a leg, and I may get three leads in a month that will go nowhere, right? Whereas I can get three leads in a day
With the
with
skills that
this.
you have now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing. So, last one for me, and then we'll open this up to the live audience. If you guys have questions for Paul, go ahead. You guys can get your hands raised. But the what I'm curious now, I mean, you are succeeding at a very, very quick pace, such that your broker has recognized your success and asked you to lead the office. And now you and I have talked about in our last coaching call your how much you've been able to build your listing based business. Now you're looking to leverage that out. So walk us through your plans for the future, your future goals. If you look ahead over the next 5 years, based on what you've learned over the last 5 years, where do you see yourself in this business?
I don't know. I got so many ideas, and
I know you do.
yeah, yeah. I want to get into, I want to get into wholesale, because my biggest deal this year was wholesale. I got a huge, probably my biggest deal ever that I'm working on right now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it comes through. It's a 7,000 acre ranch, which
Mm,
in the Sierras. But I mean, I've never been the type of person that wants to be tied down to a business,
mm,
because that's why I'm a musician, so I can float
sure.
around and be, you know. I've never been the type of person that wants to be stuck in an office, and realty is great for me because I'm all over the place showing
Yeah.
houses. Um, but I do have a huge opportunity here where I got this office, and
Yeah.
those are all my things on the wall. People, I'm in a tourist area, so people walk into this office. And I've got all these empty desks around here, and this used to be the um, top real estate agency on the mountain.
Mm.
Um, so my broker got divorced from his wife, who was the manager here. So she left and took everybody with her. So this office is basically mine now. And he said, hire
Fill it.
agents, get it going,
Build it. That's great.
Um, so that's kind of my plan. I'm going to take the opportunity and try to, get somebody that can sit at that desk, because people walk in here every day wanting to buy or sell their house. I want to get somebody to sit up there in front, so this office is never empty. And then I also want to get some agents that want, because I don't know if I don't have it here, but I have a binder full of buyers leads that are all falling by the wayside because I'm so busy with listings. So I'd like to
Right.
get a buyer agent in here to just going through and see if any of these people are still looking for houses.
It's amazing.
Um,
It's great. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you. I mean, you like I said, you have grown this really quickly. You are a great student. You're super coachable, no ego, which I think is the biggest joy in working with you, Paul. Genuinely speaking, is that you come to this business with an open mind and a willingness to learn that most people just simply don't have. I know it all and I've got all the answers, and you are so coachable. It's been really nice working with you, truly.
Well, I want to say, Brandon, I mean, I really look up to you because I mean, I've searched all the coaches and try to learn, and you're the one that really stood out to me. So I really wanted to get into this program, and what I've learned, I've grown immensely, I feel, in the last 10 months, and I feel, but I'm looking at your program, I'm about 60% through your modules and stuff. I still got a long way to go. And then because I'm a musician, I learned by repetition. I'm going to have to start at the top again and go through it again and
Yeah.
again and again, because I just want to get better and better. That's just kind of that's how I was with music. And that's how now that I'm switching careers into realty, that's exactly what I want to do with realty. But it just feels good to have somebody that knows how this is done, that can teach me. It's like
Yeah.
and with music, I always look for people to teach me. I don't think I never get to a point where I think, okay, I'm good enough that I don't need to learn anymore. It,
Right.
it just can't be that way. No matter what you're doing, you always have to keep getting better.
It's great. It's
Um,
awesome,
but
Paul.
I appreciate everything you've done. I've learned a lot, and it's really working for me. So.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Thanks for that, Paul.